she said. "You look sad, mister. Want to meet my mommy?" The Millionaire CEO didn't expect what came. A cold breeze drifted through Riverside Park that late afternoon, the kind that sneaks into your collar even when the sun is still out. Families were heading home, joggers were cooling down, and the sound of distant traffic hummed behind the trees. On a wooden bench near the pond sat Ethan Hale, the 30-something CEO of Hale Tech, wearing a perfectly tailored navy suit that looked completely out of place on a man who hadn't slept more than 3 hours in days. His tie was loosened, his posture slumped, and his eyes fixed on nothing, like he had been hollowed out from the inside. Success had given him everything, except peace. That afternoon, it felt like even the sky was pressing down on him. The board had just threatened to vote him out. Investors wanted blood. His father's old company, his only inheritance, was slipping through his fingers. And the crushing truth he didn't dare admit was this. Not one person in his life cared about Ethan the human, only Ethan the empire. He rubbed his temples, breathing out slowly as the ache behind his eyes sharpened. For the first time in years, Ethan Hale looked like a man on the edge of giving up. That was when he heard it. A tiny pair of footsteps stopping right in front of him. He looked up. A little girl, maybe 6, with messy brown curls and a teddy bear missing one eye, was staring at him with the kind of innocent concern that adults no longer know how to offer. "Mister, you look sad," she said, tilting her head. Her voice was soft, but it cut straight through the fog in his mind. Ethan blinked, unsure if he should smile, answer, or hide. Before he could figure out what to say, she took one small step closer and held out the teddy bear toward him like it was a peace offering. "Want to meet my mommy?" she asked. "She makes people feel better." Ethan froze. Something about the way she said it, so confident, so sincere, hit him in a place he didn't know was still alive. For the first time that day, something warm flickered in his chest, faint but undeniable. The little girl waited, big eyes full of trust, as if she genuinely believed this stranger in. A suit could be saved by nothing more than meeting her mom. Ethan swallowed, the tension in his shoulders loosening just a bit. "Your mommy, huh?" he murmured, his voice rough. She nodded eagerly, curls bouncing. "Uh-huh. She helps people all the time. She even fixed my bunny when he had a rip. Look." She lifted the teddy bear proudly, showing a tiny stitched patch on its belly. Ethan didn't know why, but the sight stung his eyes more than any boardroom ambush had. This child saw him, truly saw him, at a moment when he felt invisible to the world. He pressed a hand against his chest without meaning to. "Maybe," he whispered, surprising himself, "maybe I could use a little help today." The girl grinned like he'd just told her the best news in the world. She reached out her small hand. Ethan hesitated for half a heartbeat, then gently took it. He didn't know it yet, but that single choice, holding the hand of a child who believed he could still be fixed, was the moment everything in his life began to change. And just a few steps ahead, inside a tiny café on the corner, waited her mother, who was about to turn his entire world upside down. As Ethan followed the little girl across the park's winding path, he felt strangely aware of every sound around him. The soft crunch of gravel under their steps, the distant bark of a dog, the faint laughter of a family heading toward their car. It all felt like a world he had forgotten how to belong to. The girl swung his hand lightly, completely unbothered by the fact that she was holding hands with a stranger in a suit. "My name is Lily," she announced proudly, as if this were the most important detail he needed to know. "What is your name, mister?" Ethan cleared his throat. "Ethan. Ethan," she repeated, as if testing the sound. "You do not look like an Ethan. You look like a tired person." Despite everything, a tiny huff of laughter escaped him. She was right. He did look like a tired person. Lily pointed ahead at a small corner cafe with a hand-painted sign and warm lights glowing through its windows. It looked nothing like the sleek restaurants he was used to. Instead, it radiated a kind of comfort he had not felt in decades. "Mommy works here," she said. "She likes making people happy. She says the world is too heavy, so she tries to make it a little lighter." Ethan stopped for a moment, staring at the entrance. A place like this, simple and unpolished, felt foreign to him. But Lily tugged his hand gently. "Come on. Mommy will want to meet you." The bell above the door chimed softly as they stepped inside. Warm air wrapped around him, filled with the smell of cinnamon, coffee, and something sweet baking in the oven. Wooden tables, mismatched chairs, tiny plants on every windowsill. Conversations murmured gently in the background. It felt alive in a way corporate boardrooms never had. Behind the counter stood a woman in a simple cream sweater and jeans, wiping her hands on an apron. Her dark hair was tied back loosely, and a few strands fell over her cheek as she turned toward them. When her eyes landed on Ethan, she paused. Not because she recognized him as a wealthy CEO, but because she saw Lily holding hands with a stranger. "Lily," she said gently, "what did we talk about? You cannot just walk off with someone you do not know." Lily squeezed Ethan's hand before letting go. "But Mommy," he looked really sad. "And you always fix sad people." Maya walked closer, concern softening into kindness. Up close, Ethan noticed her eyes. Warm, steady, the kind that made you want to breathe easier. "I am sorry if she bothered you," Maya said. "She has a big heart and no filter." "She did not bother me," Ethan said quietly. "She helped more than she knows." Maya studied him for a moment, not the way investors did, but with genuine curiosity. "Rough day?" she asked. Ethan let out a small breath. "Something like that." Lily tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mommy, can we give him hot cocoa? The extra warm kind? He needs it." Maya gave a small smile. "Why not?" She gestured to a table by the window. "Please sit. I will make it." Ethan hesitated. He had contracts to review, calls to return, crises waiting for him. But for the first time in a long time, none of it felt as important as staying right here. He took a seat. Lily climbed onto the chair across from him, swinging her feet, humming a tune that seemed to calm his restless mind. Ethan watched her, quietly amazed that a child could sense sadness so quickly. "Mommy fixes people," Lily said happily. "She fixed me when I had a bad dream. She fixed Mr. Thompson when his cat got lost. And she fixed the coffee machine that went boom last week." Ethan smiled, the tension in his chest easing. "Your mother sounds impressive." "She is the best," Lily said matter-of-factly. Maya returned with a mug of cocoa topped with whipped cream and a sprinkle of cinnamon. She set it in front of him. "Here, on the house. Lily's orders." Ethan wrapped his hands around the warm mug, feeling the heat seep into his palms. He took a careful sip. It was simple, but better than anything he had tasted in a long time. "Thank you," he murmured. Maya shrugged lightly. "Everyone needs something warm on a hard day." Lily leaned over the table and whispered loudly, "Mommy, can we keep him?" Ethan nearly choked on his cocoa. Maya's cheeks flushed pink. "Lily," but Lily grinned proudly. "He is nice, and he needs us." Ethan felt something inside him stir, something he had buried under work, expectations, and loneliness. Sitting in that little café, with the warmth of cocoa and the soft glow of lights reflecting in Maya's eyes, he realized something unsettling. For the first time in years, he did not want to leave. And none of them had any idea just how much his presence in this café would change their lives forever. As the warmth of the cocoa settled through Ethan's chest, he found himself watching Maya move behind the counter. There was a steadiness in her hands, a quiet grace as she refilled sugar jars and checked the oven timer. She worked with the kind of calm focus that made the little cafe feel like its own small universe, tucked safely away from the chaos outside. Lily was still sitting across from him, humming and drawing shapes on the fogged window with her fingertip. Every so often she would glance at him to make sure he was still there, as if afraid he might vanish if she looked away too long. Ethan cleared his throat softly. "So, Lily, do you help your mom here every day?" She nodded proudly. "After school I come here. Mommy says the cafe is our second home. Sometimes first home if the heater is being silly." Ethan's brows lifted. He looked toward the counter, watching Maya wipe down a table with a cloth that had definitely seen better days. It hit him then. This place did not make much money. This was not a polished business or a franchise. It was survival, and yet it felt more alive than any boardroom he had stepped into. Maya returned to check on them, sliding a plate of warm banana bread onto the table. "On the house, too," she said lightly. "It is fresh out of the oven." "Thank you," Ethan murmured. Lily reached eagerly for a piece, breaking it in half and placing one piece in front of him. "You have to try Mommy's banana bread. It makes everything better, even bad days." Ethan took a small bite. Warm, soft, a little sweet, a little comforting. Exactly the kind of thing he had forgotten existed. "It is really good," he said. Maya gave a small, embarrassed smile. "It is our best seller. Well, our only consistent seller." She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, glancing away. Ethan noticed the exhaustion around her eyes, the faint shadows that only appear when someone has been fighting life day after day with no break. "Do you run this place alone?" he asked. Maya nodded. "Pretty much. I had one employee, but she left last month for a job that paid better. I cannot blame her. It is not easy keeping a small cafe running." Lily spoke with her mouth full. "Mommy works so hard. Sometimes she forgets to sit down, so I have to make her." Ethan smiled gently. "Lily seems like a good boss." "Oh, she is the best," Maya said, smiling at her daughter before turning back to Ethan. "I am sorry. I did not mean to dump my life story on you. I am sure you have a lot more important things to worry about." Ethan hesitated. He could have told her the truth, that he was fighting to keep a billion-dollar tech empire from crumbling, that he had hundreds of employees relying on his decisions, that reporters were circling like vultures waiting for him to slip. But he did not. For some reason, he wanted to hold on to this one place where he did not have to be that man. "Everyone has their battles," he said quietly. "Today mine just felt heavier than usual." Maya nodded, understanding without prying. That alone made something in him loosen. He was used to people digging, demanding, expecting. Maya simply listened. "Well," she said, "you are welcome to stay as long as you need. We close in an hour, but there is no rush." Lily hopped down from her chair. "I want to show him the stars." Maya groaned playfully. "Lily, the glow-in-the-dark stickers again." "Yes. I put them in the storage room." "Come on, Ethan." Before he could respond, Lily grabbed his hand again and tugged him toward the back hallway. Maya called after them, "Careful, Lily. Do not touch the bags of flour. They have a personal vendetta against staying sealed." Lily giggled and led him into a tiny storage room lit by a single bulb. She reached up, flicked the switch, and suddenly the ceiling came alive. Dozens of tiny glowing stars, unevenly placed, many crooked, but together creating a messy little galaxy. "See," she said proudly. "This is my calm place. When Mommy gets sad or tired, I bring her here. It makes her smile." Ethan looked up, the soft glow reflecting in his tired eyes. The stars were cheap stickers, peeling at the edges, but somehow they felt more real than the actual night sky he used to ignore from his penthouse window. Lily looked up at him. "Do you feel better?" Ethan swallowed. A lump formed unexpectedly in his throat. "Yeah," he whispered. "Yeah, I think I do." Lily nodded sagely, like a tiny therapist. "Mommy says people need light when their hearts get heavy." Ethan stared at the glowing ceiling, feeling something shift inside him. Something he had been holding tightly for far too long. He did not know it yet, but this storage room, this silly little galaxy, was the first place in years where he allowed himself to breathe without armor. And outside that door, Maya was wiping down tables, unaware that her quiet world was about to intertwine with his in ways none of them could imagine. When Ethan and Lily stepped back out of the little storage room, the soft glow of the sticker stars still lingering in his mind, he felt lighter than he had in months. The cafe was quieter now, with only 2 customers left, both of them sipping their drinks in comfortable silence. Maya looked up from behind the counter when she saw them return. There was a gentle amusement in her eyes. "Did Lily show you her secret galaxy?" Ethan nodded. "She did. It is impressive." Lily beamed. "He liked it, Mommy. I think his heart is less heavy now." Maya pressed her lips together, trying not to smile too widely. "I am glad it helped." She checked the clock on the wall. "We close in about 20 minutes, but you can stay until I finish cleaning." Ethan hesitated. He had a car waiting outside. His assistant had texted him 10 times. His world, those high floors, those glass walls, was calling him back. Yet he did not want to leave. "I can help," he said. Maya blinked as if she had misheard him. "Help?" "Yes," Ethan said, clearing his throat. "With whatever you need to close up." Maya laughed softly, the sound warm and genuine. "Ethan, you are in a suit. I am not letting you mop the floor." "I can handle it," he insisted, though he was not entirely sure he could. Lily clapped her hands. "Mommy, let him. He can be part of the cafe team for today. We can give him a sticker badge." Ethan chuckled under his breath. "A sticker badge sounds fair." Maya shook her head, defeated by Lily's enthusiasm. "All right, but nothing heavy and absolutely no climbing. The last thing I need is for you to fall off a stool in a 3-piece suit." Ethan rolled up his sleeves a little, exposing the sharp contrast between his polished world and this humble cafe. Lily skipped ahead of him, handing him a rag that was slightly too pink and slightly too worn. "You wipe the tables," she instructed proudly. "Mommy will sweep. I will supervise." Ethan saluted her jokingly. "Yes, ma'am." As he wiped the tables, he caught Maya glancing at him with a mixture of surprise and something else, maybe gratitude, maybe curiosity. He was not entirely sure, but he liked it. He liked it far more than he should. There was something healing about moving slowly, touching wooden surfaces worn by years of hands, hearing Lily's off-key humming drift through the air. Something deeply human. Something he had not felt in the towering halls of Hailtech for far too long. At one point, Maya approached him with a gentle smile. Most people in suits avoid places like this. They do not usually offer to clean them. Ethan shrugged softly. "Maybe I needed this more than I realized." Maya leaned against the counter, studying him with open honesty. "You look like someone who carries a lot. Not physical weight, but the kind that makes sleep difficult." He paused mid-wipe, her words hitting closer than she could possibly know. "Something like that," he murmured. "You do not have to explain," she said. "Everyone has their storm." He looked at her then, really looked at her, and noticed the faint fray on her sweater sleeve, the tiredness hidden beneath kindness, the strength in her voice despite everything. She had storms too, and she faced them with grace. When the last customer left, Lily locked the front door with exaggerated seriousness. "Closing time," she announced. Maya flipped the sign. The cafe dimmed as she switched off the front lights, leaving only the soft glow of the lamps over the counter. Ethan stood by the register, watching mother and daughter move together like a quiet rhythm he did not know he was starving for. "Thank you for letting me stay," he said. Maya looked up, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Thank you for accepting Lily's invitation. Most adults would have walked away. I did not want to walk away," Ethan replied before he could stop himself. Maya held his eyes for a moment too long, something unspoken passing between them. Then Lily tugged on Ethan's sleeve again. She held up a small sheet of bright yellow stickers, stars, moons, little clumsy planets. "You helped today," she said with absolute seriousness. "So you get a star badge." She peeled one off and stuck it carefully on his shirt pocket. Ethan stared at it, unable to speak for a moment. The sticker was crooked, simple, childish, but his chest tightened strangely. No board of directors had ever given him anything that felt this real. Maya smiled softly. "Looks good on you." Ethan touched the sticker gently. "Thank you," he whispered. And for the first time in a very long time, he meant it with his whole heart. As he stood there in the warm glow of the little cafe, wearing a crooked yellow star placed by a child who believed she could fix sad people, Ethan realized something that both comforted and terrified him. He was beginning to care, more than he should, more than he expected. And this, whatever this was only the beginning. That night, after Ethan finally stepped out of the small cafe, he found himself lingering on the sidewalk longer than he meant to, staring back through the front window where Maya and Lily were cleaning up the last few things before heading home. The yellow star sticker Lily had placed on his suit pocket glowed faintly under the streetlight, a small, silly symbol that somehow felt heavier than any award he had ever earned. He touched it once more before getting into the car, and for the first time in months, he did not dread the drive back to his penthouse. In fact, he wished he was not going back to an empty place at all. The next morning, the world of Hailtech hit him like a storm all over again. His assistant rushed to him with a tablet full of urgent emails. The board demanded an immediate conference. The financial forecasts were worse than expected. Investors were threatening to pull out. The noise was relentless, the pressure suffocating. But even as he walked through the glass halls of his empire, something small and gentle kept tugging at him. The memory of Lily swinging his hand, the quiet steadiness in Maya's voice, the glow of the sticker galaxy in the storage room, the warmth of cocoa he could still taste, and the crooked yellow star still stuck to the inside of his suit jacket, hidden but present. By noon, Ethan could barely focus. His mind kept drifting back to the cafe. Around 3 in the afternoon, he did something completely out of character. He left the office. No announcement, no explanation, no meetings rescheduled. He just walked out. His driver looked surprised when Ethan slid into the car and said, "Corner Cafe on Riverside." And do not ask why. When he stepped inside the cafe again, Maya visibly brightened for a moment before trying to hide it under professionalism. Lily, on the other hand, screamed his name like a victory cheer. "Ethan, you came back." She rushed to him, wrapping her small arms around his waist before he even had time to react. Something warm anchored itself in his chest. "I promised you I would try your mommy's tea next time," he said. It was a lie. He had promised no such thing. But he would have promised 100 things just to see her smile that way again. Maya approached the counter, brushing flour off her apron. "Rough day?" she asked, the same question she had asked before. But this time her voice held familiarity, comfort, and a hint of concern. "Every day is rough lately," Ethan admitted. "But this place, it makes the world feel less sharp." Maya gave him a small, real smile. "Well, then, let us make it less sharp together." She poured him a cup of her homemade calming tea, the smell of chamomile and honey filling the air. Lily climbed onto the chair across from him again. "Ethan, do you know what today is?" He played along. "What is today?" Lily raised her hands dramatically. "It is sticker day. Only people who make the world better get stickers." Ethan chuckled. "I am not sure I qualify." "Yes, you do," she insisted. "You helped clean. And you are nice. And Mommy says that sometimes people forget they are good because life is loud." Ethan looked up at Maya, and she quickly looked away, pretending to rearrange a stack of menus. Lily peeled a bright blue moon sticker from her sheet and placed it next to the yellow star on his jacket. "Now you have a galaxy," she said proudly. Something about that sentence struck him deeply. A galaxy, not earned through power, money, or success, but given freely, because a child saw goodness he could no longer see in himself. As Maya brought over a plate of warm cookies, she sat beside him, not across, like she was allowing herself to be a little closer this time. "Lily has a habit of collecting people," she said softly. "Only the ones who look like they need a little light." Ethan swallowed, his voice quiet. "Maybe she is right. Maybe I needed this more than I knew." Maya hesitated, her fingers tapping the edge of the counter. "I do not know what you are facing out there, Ethan. But I can tell you this. You look like someone who has been carrying the world for too long. And no one, no matter how strong, can carry it alone." Her words were simple. Her tone was calm, but they landed with the weight of truth. Lily leaned her head against Ethan's arm and sighed happily. "We can help carry it. Just a little. Mommy says sharing makes heavy things less heavy." And in that tiny cafe, with warm cookies on the table, soft tea cooling in his hands, and a child leaning trustingly on his arm, Ethan felt something he had not felt in years. A sense of belonging, a sense of being seen, a sense that maybe, just maybe, his life was allowed to be something more than pressure and expectations. He looked at Maya, who met his gaze with quiet understanding, and he knew, without needing to say it aloud, that the little cafe was becoming a place he would return to again, not because of the banana bread, not because of the tea, but because, for the first time in a long time, he finally felt human. And that feeling was worth more than anything his empire had ever given him. Over the next week, the cafe quietly became Ethan's sanctuary. Every afternoon, after enduring hours of tense meetings, hostile emails, and demands from every direction, he found himself drifting back to the corner cafe on Riverside, as if pulled by something he could not explain. Maya never asked why he came. She never asked what he did for a living. She never pried into the storm that followed him everywhere else. She simply welcomed him with the same calm smile, the same warm tea, the same gentle presence that made him feel like he could breathe again. Lily, of course, acted like he had always been part of their world. She showed him her sticker drawings. She introduced him to her stuffed animals. She insisted he try every dessert on the menu to determine which one made his heart happiest. And because it was Lily asking, Ethan found himself doing things that would have shocked anyone from Hale Tech. One evening, after closing time, Maya caught Ethan sitting cross-legged on the floor, helping Lily glue glitter onto cardboard stars. He looked more peaceful than she had ever seen him. When she quietly approached, he glanced up, a little embarrassed. "She asked me to help," he explained. "I did not want to disappoint her." Maya gave him a soft smile. "You are good with her." Ethan lowered his gaze to the half-finished glitter star in his hands. "She makes it easy." Something in his voice made Maya pause. There was an ache there, deep and quiet, like a wound he carried alone. She sat across from him on the floor. "Ethan, you do not have to tell me anything. But sometimes, it helps to say what is hurting." He hesitated, the glitter star trembling slightly between his fingers. Then he let out a slow breath. "I lost someone," he said quietly. "A mentor. The only person who ever believed in me without expecting anything in return. He built Hailtech with my father. And when he died, I felt like the last piece of stability went with him. Maya listened, her eyes soft. I am sorry. Ethan stared at the glitter star, his voice barely above a whisper. He used to tell me that success means nothing if you lose yourself while achieving it. I laughed at the time. I thought he was being dramatic. But now, he swallowed, his jaw tightening. Now I wake up every day feeling like I am disappearing inside a machine I created, and I do not know how to stop it. Maya reached out, placing her hand gently over his. You are not disappearing. You are overwhelmed. There is a difference. Ethan looked at her, really looked at her, and something warm flickered in his eyes. How do you stay so calm? She laughed softly. I am not always calm. But I learned that panic does not make life easier. And Lily needs someone who can show her safety, even on the hard days. Ethan followed her gaze to where Lily was proudly hanging glitter stars on a string. She is lucky, he murmured. To have you. Maya's expression softened. We are doing our best. Some days are harder than others. But we have love, even on the days when we do not have much else. Ethan's chest tightened unexpectedly. Love. It was a word that had become foreign to him, wrapped in memories he had spent years avoiding. He felt Maya's hand slip away, leaving a quiet warmth behind. Lily came skipping toward them, holding up the glitter star she had made for him. Look, Ethan, this one is yours. It means you are part of our sky now. Ethan blinked, stunned. Part of your sky? Lily nodded confidently. Yes. Mommy says everyone needs people who light up their sky when life gets dark. So you get a star. You are one of our lights now. Maya's breath caught as she glanced at Ethan, unsure of how he would react. But he just stared at the glitter star, his voice breaking softly when he finally spoke. Thank you, Lily. Lily giggled and ran off to hang another star. For a long moment, Ethan and Maya sat in the quiet glow of the dim cafe, the string lights flickering above them, the scent of fresh bread lingering in the air. Ethan finally exhaled, long and slow. I do not know what is happening to me, he admitted. Coming here, being with you too, it feels like something is shifting, like something is waking up. Maya held his gaze, her voice gentle. Maybe that is not something to fear. Ethan swallowed, his heart beating unsteadily. I think I am starting to care. More than I should. Maya's voice lowered, soft as a whisper. Sometimes caring is the first step toward healing. And Ethan, for the first time in years, allowed himself to wonder if healing was something he deserved. For a few precious days, Ethan allowed himself to believe that his life could stay suspended in that gentle in-between space, where the cafe smelled like cinnamon and warm bread, where Lily's laughter softened the world, and where Maya's calm voice steadied the chaos in his chest. But healing stories always reach a point where the quiet is interrupted, and Ethan's came on a Thursday afternoon. He had just walked into the cafe, still wearing the blue tie he had loosened during a stressful meeting, when Lily ran toward him with her usual excitement, only to stop halfway. Her smile faltered. She looked confused, even a little scared. Ethan followed her gaze and realized she was staring at the entrance behind him. A cluster of people in suits had gathered outside, talking urgently into phones, pointing at the building, clearly searching for him. His stomach dropped. His world had finally caught up to him. Maya looked up from behind the counter, concern appearing instantly. Ethan, are those people looking for you? He hesitated, but only for a moment. Yes, he admitted. From work. One of the men in suits spotted him through the window and pushed inside without hesitation. Sir, the meeting with the board has already started. They are threatening an emergency vote. You need to come now. Sir, the press is asking questions. Sir, your absence has been noted. Sir, the voices piled on, sharp and loud, like knives cutting through the warm air of the cafe. Lily flinched and covered her ears. Maya stepped around the counter quickly, placing a protective hand on her daughter's shoulder. Her eyes hardened at the sight of the chaos. Stop, she said firmly, her voice low but commanding. You are scaring her. The suits paused, startled by her tone. Ethan's throat tightened as he watched Lily cling to her mother's sweater. This was exactly what he feared. His world was not quiet, not gentle, not safe. It was loud and demanding, and now it was spilling into the one place he never wanted to contaminate. Maya approached Ethan slowly. You never told us, she said, her voice soft but wounded. You never told us who you are. Ethan opened his mouth, but the words were stuck. He had planned to tell her eventually, but he had been selfish, savoring the one place where he could exist without his title. Maya looked down, a mix of realization and hurt passing over her face. You are important, she whispered. A CEO. That is why they follow you everywhere. Lily looked up at him, her voice trembling. Ethan, why are they yelling? Did you do something wrong? He knelt down in front of her, his voice breaking as he said, No, Lily. I did not want to bring all of that here. She reached out and touched the moon sticker still attached to his jacket. But you are still Ethan, right? He nodded. I am still Ethan. But Maya looked away. Her hands were shaking slightly. I do not understand, she murmured. You walked into this cafe like someone who needed a warm drink and a place to breathe. You cleaned tables with us. You made glitter stars with my daughter. You acted like someone who belonged here. Ethan stood slowly. I wanted to belong here. But you do not. One of the suits interrupted sharply. Sir, we need to leave. Now. Maya flinched at the coldness in the man's voice. Ethan glared at him. Do not speak for me. But the damage had already spread through the room like a crack in glass. Maya was pulling Lily a little closer, her eyes flicking between Ethan and the cluster of men who looked at the cafe with thinly veiled judgment. The warmth of the place felt as if it had been snuffed out. Maya, Ethan said quietly, I never meant to lie. I needed somewhere to feel human again, and you gave me that. She swallowed hard, trying to stay composed. I understand needing a place to breathe. I really do. But this, she gestured at the window crowded with suits and cars. This is not a storm I can let near Lily. Lily tugged on her mother's sleeve. Mommy, is Ethan in trouble? Maya bent down and pressed a kiss to her daughter's forehead. No, sweetheart. But sometimes grown-ups live in different worlds, and it is not always easy for those worlds to mix. Maya looked up at Ethan again, her eyes shimmering with something heartbreakingly gentle. I am grateful for everything you brought into this cafe, but I cannot let you bring the rest of your life into it too. Ethan felt the words hit him like a physical blow. He wanted to argue, to reach for her hand, to explain that the chaos outside did not define him. But the truth was tugging at him painfully. He could not guarantee her safety. He could not promise peace. He could not even promise he would be able to walk back into the cafe without an army of cameras behind him. His voice cracked as he said, I never wanted this to touch you. Maya's voice broke, barely above a whisper. But it already has. Lily looked between them both, confused and frightened. Ethan's world waited at the door. Maya's world trembled inside the cafe. And for the first time, Ethan realized he might lose the only place that had made him feel alive again. For 2 long days, Ethan did not return to the cafe. Not because he did not want to, but because Maya's words kept circling in his mind like a quiet storm he could not outrun. I cannot let you bring the rest of your life into this place. She had said it gently, but it cut deeper than any accusation could. His board raged, reporters swarmed, stockholders demanded answers, and every headline questioned whether Hailtech was collapsing under his leadership. But none of that hurt like the memory of Lily's trembling voice. You are still Ethan, right? He wished he could answer confidently. He wished he could be the Ethan they knew, the one who made glitter stars and drank cocoa in a quiet cafe. But now both worlds had collided, and everything felt broken. On the 3rd evening, after a brutal board meeting that ended with threats and raised voices, Ethan stood in the corner of the Hailtech lobby, staring at the moon sticker still tucked inside his wallet. His chest tightened. He could not keep living split in half. He needed to fix what he had broken. He needed to make things right with Maya and Lily, even if it meant facing their disappointment again. So after sunset, he made his way back to Riverside. The cafe was dark inside, the closed sign flipped, but he saw a small lamp on in the back. He hesitated for only a moment before knocking softly. Maya's silhouette appeared in the doorway, and when she opened the door, her expression flickered from surprise to guarded calm. Ethan. Her voice was soft, weary. What are you doing here? I needed to talk to you, he said, breath unsteady. Please. She hesitated before stepping aside to let him in. The cafe felt different at night, quieter, almost fragile. Lily was asleep on a bench in the back, curled under a blanket with her teddy bear, unaware of the tension in the room. Maya folded her arms lightly, trying to stay composed. Ethan, your world brought chaos into mine. I am not angry at you. But I need to protect my daughter. I know, he whispered. And I am sorry. I should have told you the truth from the beginning. I needed somewhere I was not a CEO. Somewhere I could feel human for a moment. You and Lily gave me that without even trying. Maya looked down at the floor, her fingers tightening around the edge of the counter. I understand needing peace. But peace cannot be built on secrets. Ethan stepped closer, carefully, respectfully. You are right. And I want to make something clear. I never lied to manipulate you. I hid because I was ashamed. Ashamed of what my life has become. Ashamed that the world sees me as a machine, not a person. His voice cracked. I never wanted that to touch you or Lily. But it did. And I am sorry. Maya closed her eyes, and for a moment, she did not speak. Then, slowly, she said, Ethan, I am not afraid of who you are. I am afraid of what your world brings. I cannot let Lily be exposed to press or chaos or judgment. She is just a child. I know, he said. And I want to protect her too. I want to protect both of you. Even if it means stepping back. Maya looked up sharply, surprise flickering in her eyes. Stepping back. Ethan swallowed hard. I do not want to cause more damage. If staying away is what keeps you safe, I will do it. For a long moment, Maya stared at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes, the exhaustion, the fear of losing the small comfort he had found with them. She stepped closer. Ethan, that is not what I want. His breath caught. It is not. No, she whispered. I want safety. I want honesty. I want stability for Lily. But I also... She paused, choosing her words carefully. I also care about you. More than I expected to. The tension in the room shifted, softening around them. Ethan took a slow breath, the weight in his chest loosening just slightly. Then let me show you something, he said. Not with promises. With action. Maya frowned. What do you mean? Ethan walked to the door and opened it wider. Outside, instead of chaos, instead of press, instead of suits or cars or shouting, there was only silence. He had told his driver to leave, told his assistant to cancel everything, told security to stay away. The street was empty. He turned back to Maya. I am here alone. No entourage. No cameras. No board. Just me. Maya looked at him, surprised by the depth of his gesture. Ethan continued, voice low and sincere. If I want to be part of your world, I have to prove I can leave mine outside when I walk through that door. She stepped toward him, searching his face for any doubt, any hesitation. There was none. Only honesty. Ethan, she whispered, why would you do all this? He held her gaze. Because you and Lily are the only real thing I have felt in years. And I cannot lose that without trying to build something true. Maya's expression softened, her heart clearly battling between caution and hope. She glanced toward her sleeping daughter, then back at him. If we try this, it has to be slow. Safe. Honest. He nodded. I can do slow. I can do honest. She inhaled deeply, then let out a breath that trembled slightly. Then, stay for a little while. Just tonight. Ethan stepped inside fully, closing the door gently behind him. Maya turned on the small lamp near the counter, filling the café with warm light again. And for the first time since the suits had stormed in, the air inside felt peaceful. Ethan glanced at Lily sleeping under the blanket, then at Maya, who gave him a small, fragile smile. They stood there, two people from different worlds, not pretending those worlds did not exist, but choosing, just for tonight, to meet in the quiet middle. And deep inside, something began to heal again. The cafe was silent except for the soft hum of the refrigerator and the slow, steady rhythm of Lily's breathing as she slept on the bench. Ethan sat at one of the small wooden tables, hands wrapped around a warm mug that Maya had quietly placed in front of him. She sat across from him, not too close, not too far, both of them held in that gentle, fragile moment where two worlds were trying to learn how to meet without breaking. For a while, neither of them spoke. They just breathed in the same warm air, surrounded by the scent of cocoa and cinnamon that had become the beating heart of this tiny place. Finally, Maya looked at him, really looked at him, her eyes softer than he had ever seen. You know, she whispered, Lily asked about you the past 2 nights. She wanted to know if you stopped being her friend because she did something wrong. Ethan's chest tightened. She did nothing wrong. If anything, she is the reason I kept going this week. She reminded me what humanity feels like. Maya smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She likes you. She trusts you. and she does not trust easily. Ethan lowered his gaze, emotion thick in his throat. I would never hurt her. Or you. I promise. Maya gave him a long, searching look, the kind that stripped him down to his honesty. Then tell me something, Ethan. Not as a CEO. As the man who sat on this floor gluing glitter stars with my daughter. What do you want? Truly. He exhaled slowly. The truth rose in him like a wave he could no longer hold back. I want a life that does not feel empty. I want to wake up and not dread the day ahead. Of me. I want to come somewhere that feels real. I want this. He gestured gently around the quiet cafe. Not the cafe itself, but the feeling of being here. The feeling of being seen. And I want you and Lily in that life, if you will have me. Maya's breath caught, her eyes shining in the dim light. Ethan, I am afraid. So am I, he admitted. But maybe that means we are finally doing something worth the fear. She looked at him for a long moment, then slowly reached across the table, her fingers brushing his. It was the lightest touch, barely there, yet it sent warmth through him like sunrise. If we do this, she said softly, we do it on our terms. No rushing. No pretending. No letting your world swallow ours. Ethan nodded, his hand turning to hold hers gently. I want that. I want slow. I want real. I want a life where Lily never has to flinch because of something I brought into her world. At the mention of her daughter, Maya glanced toward the sleeping child with a tenderness that made Ethan's throat tighten. She asked me yesterday, Maya whispered. Mommy, do you think Ethan misses us? I did not know what to say. Ethan swallowed hard. Yes, he said. I missed you both more than I can explain. Maya's eyes softened, and she squeezed his hand. Then stay. That one word, quiet but sure, melted something inside him that had been frozen for years. He moved quietly, gently lifting Lily from the bench so she could rest more comfortably. She stirred just enough to mumble. Ethan, you came back, before settling against his shoulder. Maya watched, her heart opening just a little more. When he laid Lily back down and covered her with the blanket, Maya whispered, You are good with her. Ethan brushed a gentle hand over Lily's curls. She brings out the best in me. They stood together, watching the little girl sleep peacefully, unchanged by titles, untouched by chaos, completely trusting. Maya leaned closer, her voice a soft confession. I think she has already chosen you. Ethan looked at her. And you? She held his gaze, courage rising slowly in her eyes. I am choosing too. He stepped toward her, and she let him. And in the quiet glow of the small cafe, where it had all begun, she rested her head lightly against his shoulder. He held her, not possessively, not desperately, but with the gentle certainty of someone who finally understood what it meant to be home. Outside, the world was still loud, still demanding, still waiting to judge him. But inside this cafe, there was only warmth, only peace, only the fragile beginning of a new life he had never dared to imagine for himself. The clock ticked softly. Lily breathed steadily in her sleep. And Maya whispered the words that felt like a promise and a new beginning all at once. Ethan, you are part of our sky now. He closed his eyes, letting the words settle deep into the places still healing. Then I will spend the rest of my life making sure your sky stays bright. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the board, not the headlines, not the chaos waiting outside. Just a man, a woman, a child, and a tiny cafe that stitched 3 lonely lives together. A new family, not born from blood or convenience, but from kindness, from honesty, and from the simple courage to love. And in the quiet glow of that night, Ethan finally understood what his mentor meant. Success means nothing without a heart to share it with. And he had found his heart here, in the most unexpected place, with the 2 people who saw him long before they knew his name.